Baby mine, don't you cry. Baby mine, dry your
A father
eyes.
sings a lullaby to his 6-week-old son, a baby who has brought him to this day, the new chapter in his life. Remember 5 years ago, the special ed teacher from North Carolina, Clay Aiken, on American Idol.
Take time to tell me.
Impossibly geeky, funny, surviving the red outfit and the merciless bullying by Simon Cowell.
Everything about that was horrible. What you doing tonight?
But his story became a triumph. He sold 6 million albums and has a rapt, middle-aged female following.
It's just you, Dan.
But he says a little boy who knows nothing yet about a judgmental world is the reason he came to talk to us. He began by telling me about the mother of the baby, James Foster, a music producer and longtime friend.
She was ending a relationship, a marriage that she had been in for over 20 years. She had always wanted kids. I've always wanted kids. Being a gay man, it wasn't something for me that was going to be an option any other way.
You kind of buried a lead there.
Did I?
Yeah. You've decided to speak out now.
I think it's obviously something that in this day and age people in my position don't really have an opportunity to keep anything of theirs personal. But at the same time, I have a son. And it's kind of it was kind of a decision that I made along with James and along with friends and family to say, I can't raise a kid and teach him how to lie. I can't raise a kid and teach him how to hide things. I can't raise a kid and teach him to keep secrets. And at the same time, I also don't ever want to raise him in an environment where it's not okay for him to be exactly who he is, no matter what.
So you don't seem to be treating it as a declaration. It's just a...
Well, no, it's not, because I'm not making an announcement of any kind. I'm not coming and telling anybody anything. I'm speaking about it so people will stop asking questions about it, so they'll know, hush, you've got your answer, you know what's going on.
So many of the stories are about the first time you acknowledge to yourself and then the first time you tell your family. What about with you?
What's the story, you mean?
Yes.
Gosh, I don't even remember, to be honest with you, the first time I acknowledged to myself. As a kid, of course, I went through that little period of time where I thought I hadn't hit puberty yet, if that's what you mean, and that eventually I would, think differently.
You stayed silent about it even in the family, for how long?
Oh, gosh. Years. I mean, I don't think I really admitted it to anybody outside of myself until probably 2003, when I was on Idol. But,
why when you were on Idol?
I don't really know. I grew up never caring what people thought about me. I mean, I got picked on relentlessly for everything, not just the obvious. And so when I got on Idol and people actually were cheering me on and being supportive, there you are in an environment that is more open and more accepting, and in an environment where you don't feel like such an outcast. I didn't tell but one person. I told Kimberly Locke, who was a fellow contestant with me on Idol. She was the only person I'd ever told, first person I ever told, and she kept it to herself for years and years and years, right through. I hope she still ain't told nobody. But
there must have been suffering in the beginning when you are grappling with it.
For me?
Yeah, because no kid deals easily with something that they know is charged.
Well, I've always been pretty stubborn, and I've always thought that I could handle more than most people could. But I think for the first...
I don't believe you.
You always say that.
I don't believe
you. Always say that.
It.
What am I going to do about it? Like, what seriously am I going to do about it?
No,
nothing.
But I mean, with the fact that you have to tell your parents something that you worry will be painful to them, the fact that you have to...
Right, but the other option is not telling, and that's not an option, right? Poor Mom. I told her the day that my brother left for Iraq for the first time. We had left him at Camp Lejeune in North Carolina, and we're driving home, and for whatever reason, I just thought, well, it's a bad day already. Might as well not spread it out. So I did, and so she had a very bad weekend. But it was probably harder for me to tell my younger brother than anybody in the world. I cried and cried and cried, and when I was done, he said, "Okay, is that really it?" And then we walked out of the room, and it was it. I look at people like my brother and his friends who are really, they're really, I guess, the stereotypical, tough guy Marines who all know and none of them care, you know, and it gives me a lot of hope for the next several years, the next decade, my son's lifetime, where, you know, I think most people will be in a different place with their opinions or their beliefs. But at the same time, you know, my grandmother, my mother, my people who are of an older generation, you know, it's not my place to tell them that they're wrong. I mean, I wouldn't want them telling me I'm wrong. At the same time, I'm not going to tell them they're wrong.
Worried about your fans?
I don't have any designs on the fact that people will, that every single person is going to be perfectly okay with it. I'm sure that there are people who will grapple with it. I'm sure that emotions will run the gamut from people who already knew to people who really believe that it wasn't true.
But to the people who would say, hey, you didn't tell everybody because it would interfere with that moment in your career, is that the reason?
No, because, you know, that moment in my career, I had not told anyone. I had not been comfortable enough myself to talk to anybody. And it's taken a while for me to, you know, to have that faith in society, to accept the fact that people are more accepting and more open-minded and more loving and caring and less interested in your personal life than I initially thought. One of the biggest concerns for me all along has been my grandmother, and you know, wanting to make sure to protect her. It's not a secret from her, but you know, one of my biggest concerns, of course, is how are her friends going to treat her? How are my mother's friends going to treat her? How is their relationship with her going to change because how they may now feel about me?
And she's okay now?
She and I had a really great talk a few weeks ago, and I could see it for the first time as a parent. And I think that you know, with Parker, I want him to be this, that, and the other. And you know, we've talked about, you know, our dreams for him, and I've had to remind myself you can't dream too specifically because everybody's the same way. And I think for a parent to dream this, that, and the other and think things are going to happen this way with the picket fence and then they don't happen that way, it's painful, you know. But she has done marvelously, and she's, you know, I don't, like I said, I can't tell anybody they're wrong. I think patience is the most valuable asset in all of this. You know, trait is to be able to be patient and expect things are going to take time. Things don't change overnight.